Hey there, hope you're well. Today I want to share a question that I got asked on the weekend. And the question was, what do you think the market's going to do towards the end of the year? And what do you think the interest rate's going to do towards the end of the year? So it was a question I was asked, and that's what I'm going to share. I'm going to share my opinions and thoughts on that question today. My name's Lee. I'm from Martinuzzi Property Group here on the Sunshine Coast, helping residents buy and sell property across the marketplaces here, particularly the Sunshine Coast hinterland. So the question was, what do you think the market's going to do towards the end of the year? So like in the next 6 months, right? We're in May now, so maybe towards September, October, November. And what do you think the interest rates are going to do? So I'm going to answer the later part of that question first. So the interest rates, right? The media makes a bit of a show of this. They talk about interest rates cuts possibly coming, and then they talk about interest rate rises possibly coming. And then I believe last week, again, I don't watch the media, I just read and listen to other people talk about it. But apparently they said that there's looking like there'll be at least one cut before the end of the year, one interest rate cut. So my opinion is that the property prices aren't going to grow dramatically quickly or fast, and to many that might surprise people. But look, we had a huge amount of growth in the last couple of years, right, during the COVID boom period. And it can't keep that momentum forever. We're already seeing the impacts of affordability issues with many people looking to get into the property market. So I can't imagine we're going to see a huge boost in prices from here. I think we're going to see a fairly stable sort of market. It's not going to be dropping off a cliff, as many predicted a year or so ago. And we have seen a slight incline in property prices over the last 12 months. So I actually think that that's going to continue. I think we're going to see a bit of a bumpy market, up and down, as we go, because there's still a lot of uncertainty. And I think that's what's causing that market to do that. And then there's a little bit of boost of consumer confidence, and then suddenly the market gets active again. And then something says, the interest rates are going to go up in the media, for example, and the market goes down again. So we're going to see that up and down sort of trend a little bit more occurrent, I think, over the next couple of years. But we're not going to see the property prices climb dramatically. I think we'll see a bit of more of a stable market, and maybe over a course of 3-4 years, we might see the property prices climb a little bit as well. Everyone's got their different expectations. I think we've seen property prices over the last 12 months in the hinterland suburbs at least grow by about 3 to 5%. So we might see that trend continue for the next 12 months as well. So that's what I think is going to happen on the interest rate front. As far as the property market goes itself, I think the buyer certainty will improve once we see that inflation come down. Now, they did talk in the media last week that unemployment was on the rise, and that's when they sort of suggested that perhaps there will be an interest rate cut later in this year. It's a really hard balance to grapple, I think, with the RBA as to what they will do around that cash rate, because if they rise that cash rate a little bit more, it'll cripple the property market, and the property market is essentially a big part of our Australian economy. And alternatively, if they drop that cash rate 1 or 2 times before the end of the year, that's going to stimulate a lot more buyer activity, because people get excited again that, hey, we can get back into the market, we can afford more, and we can therefore purchase the sort of property that we need for ourselves or for our families. So I think, it's very hard for the RBA to know which way to go, but I believe the inflation will start to show quick, because some of these stats and figures can change overnight very rapidly, like the unemployment figure. So I think we'll see that inflation come down. And I think that will cause the RBA maybe to just drop one rate cut before the end of the year. I do believe that that's possible. If that happens, we will see a little bit more activity towards the end of the year. But typically, coming into the end of the year after winter, we do see a bit more activity in the market. September, October, November, generally busy markets in the property market. So it'll be busier in that sense, because there'll be more people wanting to list their properties for sale. There'll be more people wanting to buy. Just because there'll be more transactions happening, but there'll be more people coming into the market as well, particularly if that interest rate goes down. So that's what I think the property market's going to do. Now, I don't think it's necessarily a good time or a better time to sell later in the year. I think that actually could be maybe a worse time to sell, because if there's more properties coming to the market as a seller, you have then more competition. And also when you're selling and you're buying at the same time, when there's more properties and more activity because of the interest rates are down and there's more buyers in the market, you've actually got more competition between buyers, and that can make it very difficult to buy as well. So now, primarily, might be a better time to do that, because the prices are still firm, they're still stable. Yes, things are moving a little bit slower potentially, or in some cases they are, But at least you don't have that super urgent fear of missing out activity happening where you just have to go in there and buy whatever you can find. So I think in some cases it might be better now. Look, later in the year, I don't think it's going to be a worse market. It might be a slightly more buoyant market, maybe a little bit more fast moving. And I don't believe the cash rate's going to go up. However, I could be very wrong as well, so don't take this as advice. Just my opinion, sharing on that question that I got asked over the weekend from a potential client there. So enjoy that thought. If you need anything, Lee from MPG, here to help you.